Lovely. So again, thanks everyone for joining. This is now week number 3 of the Are You Stressed? No, hang on, the Stress Management Workshop for Leeds Beckett. So my name is Jen, and yeah, just a couple of things just to get ourselves started. I recommend that you go and grab a pen and paper, grab yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever your tipple is. And also, yeah, just to chill out. We're going to be having probably about half an hour together today. It might be a little bit shorter depending on how we are with the flow of things, but we're here between 5:30 and 6 o'clock today. So week number 1, which is now 2 weeks ago, we actually went through the Are You Stressed questionnaire. It was actually a 25-part question assessment. And if you are wanting to see how you are with your current stress levels, I would recommend that you go and find that video. I'll leave the link in the either description box. I'll probably flag it up on the screen after we record this today. And it will give you a really good idea and indication as to where you are right now with your stress levels, because stress can be quite a hidden thing for a lot of people. You may not really understand how stressed you are. So it's a very good questionnaire. And at the end of it, there's like 3 categories that you could have fallen into. So if you were scoring 4 points or less, that means your stress levels are absolutely fine. You're actually dealing with the current situation very well, which is really, really awesome. However, if you were scoring between 5 points and up to 13 points, that was during week 1, that was us discussing that you would need to start looking at your life and maybe just seeing where you can make some changes in order to change the way that you're doing things, because stress is slowly creeping in. You could be finding yourself watching the news a lot more, or you feel like your finances are, maybe spinning out of control. You're in fear for the future. So there are certain things that you can change, and that actually leads to week number 2, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you do fall in that category between 5 points and 13 points, it's definitely time to make some change. Definitely become aware of how you are feeling in the here and now. And anywhere over 14 points is definitely a sign for you to implement change into your life straight away. I remember when I first started with the assessment a few years ago, when I experienced business burnout, which I'll touch up upon briefly in a few minutes' time. But I actually scored, I think, about 23 out of 25. So don't be alarmed if you are experiencing stress and you have a very high number, because there's always ways around things. But it's just to really give you an indication as to where you are. It's a good place for you to check in with yourself, and it's a great tool to use. So that was week number 1. And the link, I believe, is bit.ly/Are You Stressed Beckett. And again, I'll make that appear on the screen on the recorded version, but I'll spell that out for you if you just want to make a note now. That's bit, which is bit.ly for Lee/Are You Stressed Beckett. So that's week number 1. Week number 2, which was last week, was analysing your here and now. Now, we basically spoke about using a tool where you are with your areas of your life. And we actually sat down and graded out of 10 where you feel you are, where you scored. But it's actually called the Wheel of Life. And if you've been coached before, or you've had some therapy, or you're really big into personal development, it's actually a very tried and tested tool. I had a bit of a spin onto using the tool last week. So we actually drew 3 Wheel of Life, and actually included, instead of the normal 8 areas of your life, so for example, finances, love and romance, your health, personal growth, career, that sort of thing, I also added on the 4 natural resources that Beckett University really helps very well with, and that's the cardio, strength, balance and good nutrition. And again, 4 natural resources, I'll talk about them more throughout the workshop, but I added them so that actually made a tool with 12 areas of your life. And we graded not only your past Wheel of Life, so where you were before the coronavirus broke out, to where you are now, so the present Wheel of Life, and I got you to grade out of 10 where you feel you are right now. And also, I didn't quite prompt for you to fill out the 3rd Wheel of Life, because that would be in the future. You could have done to maybe forecast a brighter future. Let's say if you had quite a few low scoring areas, you can start working on that now, because you don't have to go into the same life that you had before the crisis, this could be a great chance for change. And it was that tool, analysing your here and now, i.e. the wheel of life, that helped you realise where you were before the virus hit or the crisis hit, where you feel you are now in our current sort of situation, and what you could possibly move into moving forward. I mean, again, time for change, or you could go back to your amazing life, how it was, whether it was before and whatnot. So a great tool there. I've actually created another link for that. Again, I'll make it appear on the screen somewhere here on the recorded version. If you want to jot that down now, it's actually bit.ly/analyse your here and now Beckett. So it's bit for bit.ly for Lee, and then /analyse your here and now Beckett. And Beckett University, if you go on to Beckett University Fitness, you can find videos there, but they've also created a YouTube channel as well. I don't think all the videos are up yet, but they're slowly putting them up, and that could be another place as well to find these videos. So that was week number 1, Are You Stress Assessment. Very good to know where you're at 25 to see where your stress levels are. And also last week, just to analyse where you feel you are now with all your areas of your life, the main sort of categories that we all find ourselves, having in terms of areas to work on. So this is week number 3, and I've created a workshop around how to get into flow states. Now, before we start getting into flow, what is in it for you listening to the next half an hour of this workshop? So it's basically, I want you to be aware of your current situation, because it just depends how this situation's presented itself in your life. Are you now working more? Are you working less? Has your whole world been turned upside down, and now you're living with more people at your home or less people? We're all, far away from our friends and family, but most of us on a very huge level have been affected, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Unfortunately, the news, they do portray a lot of bad, negative stories, and obviously not discounted the situation we're in. It's a terrible thing that we're all going through, and hats off to all the nurses. The NHS is just amazing, the work they're doing. But there have been some good success stories as well that's come out of this crisis as well. So it's just like in these workshops, it's just all about really reflecting and making you become aware and checking in with yourself with how you're feeling, where you are with your stress levels, if it's actually affecting you to the point that you need to make change in your life. And as mentioned earlier, you don't have to go into the life that you once had. You can actually move into your new life after the crisis has passed, and you have the power to create a whole new lifestyle if that's where you are. So yeah, who's this for, this workshop? So it could be basically for any one of us, because fear can manifest for sure in a situation like this, and it can turn up in the form of outright panic. We all might feel a resistance to change here and there. You can feel quite doubtful about the future. You can feel quite doubtful now even. We're certainly worried, confused about how the virus acts in our community, how it can multiply. There's just so much stuff that we just still understanding, aren't we? It's a whole new virus that they're tackling, and we have no idea whenever we're going to be given the green light to carry on as normal. So there's going to be a lot of fear that comes up, a lot of stress, and actually this sort of situation, it could be that you're experiencing stress for the very first time in your life, because not everyone has a stressful life. I mean, I've certainly lived one, and I will touch up on my brief backstory. But if you're not used to stress, it can be quite an unusual experience to experience. It could be that you're experiencing anxiety for the first time, you're not sleeping, you're getting the shakes, you're feeling nervous, you're out of breath, you're getting short with yourself or with others around you. And it's quite hard to manage if you've never experienced it before. You don't really know or recognise the signs for what they are. So this is who it's for, and that could be pretty much anyone at the moment. So again, Q&A can be at the end if you do have any questions. So I'm gonna, go back to me. just a quick brief story, just to give some context, just to give you some idea as to who I am and if I'm sort of partially qualified to talk about stress. But my name is Jen, and I do spin at Beckett University. on Mondays and Thursdays, 5:15 till 6. Spinning has been part of my life for the last 10 years. I've loved it so much. I actually even created and set up 4 indoor cycling studios in my time, 2 in Shanghai, China, which was just down the road from Wuhan where the virus broke out, and I actually set up 2 here in Leeds in the UK. I'm going to cut a very long story short, but actually that led to my depression, because I actually experienced business burnout where I just took on the world, it seemed anyway. Being an expat in Shanghai, China for 7 years altogether it was, there was a lot that we had to work out and figure out, and our businesses out there were fantastic. We certainly had an easy ride into business where we were profitable from month one. We had a load of respect in the community. It was just my heyday. I absolutely loved it out there. And everything on paper was just rosy, you would think, but behind the scenes, I was just taking on way too much, and my stress accumulated, and I got myself into trouble with my health. And the doctors out there at the time didn't know what I was really going through, even though I had the right medical access and insurance, and seeing that, the professionals out there, but they didn't really know what was going on. And I was basically living with all these negative impacts of stress that I didn't really know was damaging me. And I led this lifestyle for about 2 to 4 years it was. And I was basically spinning because I love spinning. And I was working because it was my business. And essentially I was burning out. And every time I burnt out, I was in bed for a few days, but the days turned into weeks. And before I know it, because I didn't know how to look after myself properly, it led to my depression. And because I was leading this lifestyle on and off for years, where I was just like burning myself and then recovering and getting straight back into that old lifestyle of work, and I wasn't making any healthy changes. So yeah, and I wasn't like burnt out in terms of like, tired, exhausted. I was medically burnt out. I had absolutely no energy. I was depleted. It affected obviously my health, my surrounding relationships, my overall. Unfortunately, it resulted in a few poor decisions with the business as well. We're talking a few years ago. This is back in 2014. I moved back to the UK, and actually I had to change everything around anyway, because that's when my little boy came on the scene. So I couldn't be the stress head that I was at the time for when my son was going to come into my life. So I changed everything around, and I got myself out of depression, not using any tablets. Not that I'm against anyone wanting to take antidepressants or anything like that, but rooted deep down within, I don't know where it all came from, but I just knew that taking tablets wasn't the right path for me. So I decided to really choose the harder route, but it's obviously a very healthy path to take. And I would only encourage natural resources anyway, especially with the help of Beckett University. But that's where I decided to look after my health, and that's the 4 natural resources that we'll talk about today. So the cardio, the strength, the balance, and good nutrition. And it was a combination of all those big changes in my life that got me back out of depression, burnout, to my optimum health. So that's where I am today. So that's a bit about me. So I'm not a professional of any sort, a health professional, and disclaimer here, I'm not trying to come across as one, but that was my experience, and people have admired me, how I've managed to get out of my sort of burnout experiences, and happy to relay this on to you if it helps you in any way, shape or form. So, but yeah, a question to you is, what is flow? And we've all heard of being in flow states, but have you experienced it? And have you been there, or were you there before the crisis hit? So like, how I can describe flow, my experience is where you've just got life, where you've got a right handle on life. You are just like in your elements, everything's going well for you, you are happy all the time, everything's just going your way, everything's just falling into place like by magic. It's a very magical place to be if you know that you're on your path, your purpose. Now, have you been there before? Is that where you were before the crisis, or even is that where you are now? Who knows? But if that's a yes or no, just maybe write that down mentally in your head. But I'm going to now describe what stress is, not to like pee on anyone's chips here, but if you want to just be silly with me, just raise your hand above your head, okay? And look at your 4 fingers. We're going to exclude our thumbs. Look at your 4 fingers, and I'm just going to nail down like 4 of our sort of biggest areas in our life. And it's so finances, family and friends, career, and your love and relationships, right? And you're holding your hand up high, okay? And right now it feels easy to have your hand up high above your head. So, okay, we're going to leave up there for as long as we can. Now, stress, okay? Imagine you're in flow state right now. I've just asked you to raise your hand. I'm now going to talk about stress. So, put my neuroscience hat on here. So, the amygdala in your brain is a fear response mechanism. And when we're stressed, it sort of kicks in and releases the chemical and electrical signals to the motor cortex, which is your ability to take action. So you either freeze, fight, or run away. So that fight or flight type reaction we'll hear about. Now, that's absolutely fine because we're all supposed to feel the fear, the stress in a really sort of stressful situation. But what the majority don't tend to realise, that you can get, can you feel the ache now in the hands and the arm? What the majority don't tend to realise, that you can actually get addicted to those chemicals that are released in the brain. So, and be honest with yourself here, have you found yourself just constantly watching news on occasion? Are you just always looking through the newspaper and, picking up those negative stories about the crisis? Are you just always are you just feel more drawn to the negative impacts that this is having than you are the positive? And that's absolutely fine. It's all normal. We've all done it. Hands up, literally. We have got our hands up anyway. But yeah, that is probably us getting addicted in that moment to the chemicals that are released because the fear is now kicking in. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel now it's about time to release my hand on my arm. Now, okay, that is like a demonstration of stress. Now, at the time when you can first raise your hand up, you don't feel the stress at all on your body, on your mental state. You feel you can handle it, and you can. And that was me back in the day, running my businesses in a foreign country and, experiencing all the benefits that a good, successful business would obviously give. But over time, if you're not checking in with yourself, the stress piles on. And if you are ignoring the signs of your body is trying to give you, so it could be in the way of debilitating headaches, it could be lack of motivation, it could be that you're not picking up the phone when someone calls you, the fact that you feel miserable on occasion, the fact that you're not yourself with your partner, that you're not in the mood anymore for sex, things like that. There can be such subtle things, but if you are not, again, checking in with yourself and really becoming aware of those stress signals in your body, then you can feel that ache, right? That arm just wants to come down. And basically that was my experience in burnout. I was up here and then I would burn out, and then I'll be in bed for days, and then my next sort of dip, I used to call it, I'll burn out again, and all the stress would just completely, be on my shoulders, and it would put me back in bed again, so I could just sleep for days and then recharge again. And then obviously over the years, it just slowly led to my depression because I just couldn't continue with that lifestyle. So that's where that's what stress can do. That's obviously a very extreme example, and I'm not saying that that's going to be you and where you are possibly now. However, just make sure that you look after yourself. So that's why the Are You Stressed questionnaire is very good for week number 1. So I don't want that flow to go. It could be hard to be in flow state now, but you can easily go back to a flow state in the future. And I don't want stress to interfere with flow state. So I'm going to ask you, with your pen and paper, write down, or actually draw 3 boxes, if you can see that in the camera. If you were to draw 3 boxes, and then, can you see? And then it looks like a cross, like 4 boxes in one box. And I want you to do that 3 times. This is like a quick tool that you can use. So there's like the second box and then the third box with like a cross, like a plus sign, which actually has then 4 boxes. And I want you to number each box in each big box, like that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So obviously, 4 boxes. Box number 1, these are like the 4 mental states, right? And if you look at my other sheet of paper, box number 4 is flow state. That's when your life is amazing, you're on point, you're on purpose, you've got everything going for you, it's exactly where you want to be. Now, a lot of people are not in their flow state now, with every good reason, because we've just been completely, well, it's been a life-changing experience for everyone on so many levels. So I want you to go back to flow state, whenever that might be after the pandemic's over. So I want you to write in box number 4, flow state. And what is flow state? So I've put a few notes here. Flow state is being happy in the now, and you've also got vision for the future. That is a very basic understanding of being in flow state. So that's flow state. Number 1, not many people are in this box, or not until maybe before the crisis anyway, but I have. And you might have been there yourself. I don't know your situation, but this is called negative spiral. So this is another state 1 of 4 that you can be in. And the negative spiral is the depression, the anxiety, and it's you not being happy in the now and you having no vision for the future. That's where I've been. It's not where a lot of people do get to, but I think the statistics now with depression, 1 in 4 people can get to that mindset. Sorry, not mindset, just a state to be in, a mental state. The second state that you can find yourself in is the current reality trap. So current reality trap. And that's where the majority are. So they're happy in the now, but they've got no vision for the future, meaning, in a polite way, they're plodding along. They've got a great job, but it's not so much a career. They're happy with things, with the way things are going, but they've got no, passion to do anything else than what they've got. And it's not a bad state to be in at all. I'm not discounting it at all, but it's where a lot of people are. Current reality trap. So that's another state you could be in. That could be 2 out of 4. The third mental state you can find yourself in is stress and anxiety. So this is where a lot of people could find themselves in right now. And that's where you're not happy with where you are right now. So obviously our current situation, what it presents with us, is just debilitating, and you can't do the things you feel you've got no control. And it's very trapping. It feels very, we're stuck, aren't we, basically, on so many levels. So stress, anxiety, but you're living in the future. It's like you're always thinking about the future. Like a lot of us are, when are we going to get back to work? When's our finances going to be okay? Or, when can I see my family? It's like you're so stressed out. And actually, this is really good for professionals or business people, entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs experience stress and anxiety because they're so focused with their business in the future, i.e. how I was back in the day before I learned to slow down and be in the now more. We're always, as entrepreneurs, thinking about, how we can change the future, how our business can affect and, make good in the world. And we've got all these projects going on. And a lot of entrepreneurs can feel stress and anxiety, but that's where a lot of us are now. So that's the not happy in the now, yet always living in the future. And then obviously flow state. So what I want you to do in your boxes, sorry, I should have said this, the first box is your past, so before the crisis. The second box is the present, so where we are now. And the third box is the future. Now, you can fill the third one out if you want to now, or you could just maybe go back to this box when we're back to our normal routine, once everyone can go back to normal. But I want you to grade yourself of where you thought you were before the crisis happened. So out of 10, so 1 being poor, actually, no, sorry, do apologise. Let's just tick. Where do you think you were before the crisis? Do you think you're in, on a general note, a negative spiral type mental state, or a current reality trap type mental state? Do you feel you were stressed and anxious anyway before the crisis hit, or were you in flow? Just tick one box, not rate out of 10, do apologise. Tick your box in your past. And then the present. Where do you feel you are right now in terms of your mental state? Do you feel you've actually got your tick now in a different box? Do you feel you've moved from the current reality trap to a stressed and an anxious type mental state? Do you feel you've actually fallen from a current reality trap type mental state to a negative spiral even? Give yourself a tick. Or is it that your business is absolutely flourishing in a time like this and you're in flow state, or you're now living with your partner and it's made things even rosier in your relationship? Like, do you feel you're in flow state right now? It could be possible. So yeah, have a tick of where you feel you are now in that box. And again, with the third box, I'm just conscious of time. In the third box, you can tick where you want to move into, or you can fill this box whenever we go back to normal, because you might want to make change and jump a box. You might want to move from current reality trap to flow state, which means that you've got the time now to make changes for the future if you're not happy with your current state. Didn't realise the time, it's absolutely flown today. If you are in a negative type place, meaning you could possibly be in a negative spiral type mental state, I've been there, and I want to give you the love and support to tell you and let you know that it's so possible to get yourself out of that. And that's why you need to implement the right strategies. And again, we went through this in week number 1 more so than what we did week 2, but the 4 natural resources: cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. If you were to just add a bit more cardio, or add cardio altogether into your life, you would just be able to a lot more easier come out of that state and into a more positive state. I mean, Beckett University, check out Leeds Beckett fitness classes, but for cardio, it's like an instant stress release. You can obviously either walk or run. If you can't make any of the online classes, the times there, but you can do Zumba and body pump and club dance classics. There's so much under the cardio category that you can do, and it's an instant stress release. Now, the strength as a resource is more about, the strength that you feel in your body. And I feel like if you are stronger, in your body as a whole, your life becomes a lot easier. You can handle your shopping, you can pick up your kids, you can do the gardening, or be online for hours without feeling that, aching back and neck pain. So if you wanted to increase your strength work more as a natural resource, and again, Leeds Beckett University, try out the yoga if you've never tried it before, or the abs and the HIIT classes. They also do express Pilates, Belay Fit, or Total Tone. I mean, this is the time now for you to really improve your mental state by these 4 natural resources that Beckett caters for. And balance, this is like my third favourite one, my third favourite one, sorry, is balance is all about checking in with yourself. So again, that phrase at the moment is used quite widely now. If you can't go outside, go inside. And this is like the secret that got me out of my depression, stress and anxiety from business burnout all those years ago, was that I actually found meditation. And once I realised what was going on in my head, because I was taking time for myself to slow down and separate myself from the business and looking after everyone else, and actually start going back and looking after, really the most important person. Because if you're well, everyone else around you will be, benefiting from that. But if you're man down, you're not helping anyone, you're not serving anyone at all. So balance, I see that as you time, meditation, yoga, if that's what you like as well, that sort of thing. And good nutrition, we all know what foods to eat. Obviously, eating the right foods when we're stressed and not motivated to do so, it obviously slips, but always try at least do 1 or 2 meals a day. I mean, we're all maybe binging over Netflix at the moment a bit too much than what we would normally do, but eat rainbow coloured food, or maybe switch up your meat eating diet for a vegetarian one week or a vegan another week, and just see how you feel. I did a complete change overnight. There's 3 months of vegetarian, 3 months of vegan, so 6 months altogether. And again, it was like a boost to get me out of that state. But again, I was like a very bad sort of mental state with that negative pattern. But yeah, things like that, food just really got me out of my mental state into a very positive flow state, you know, optimum health, that's what it is. So, but yeah, I'm realised the time now, it's now just gone over 6. So if you have any questions, then please let me know. But that was a tool I just wanted to share with you today, because it's just good to label states, mental states sometimes, just to make it straightforward, really. And if you are in a negative spiral type mental state, or you are feeling stressed and anxious, don't judge yourself for it. I mean, there's a lot going on right now on so many levels, and we're all in this together, aren't we? So it's tough. But I just wanted to let you know by this workshop today, there are ways that you can pull yourself out of that, especially if it's getting on top of you. And again, it's always good to check in with yourself and see where you are, and answer that questionnaire from week 1 if you're still not sure with the stress that you're experiencing, if you are stressed. But okay, I'll go back to the other screen. There's a few other people that have joined. Thank you. Hope you're all okay. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to unmute you all. You don't have to have a question. You don't have to add any sort of comments at all, but I'm just going to unmute you, and should you wish to fire over a question, feel free. So here we are. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I've just gone back to this screen. There's a few extra people I've turned on. So yeah, we're running a little bit over today. So I appreciate everyone that has tuned in and listened. And hopefully you could have seen my the tools that I used today. But there'll be the recording that I'll release and pass over to Beckett as well if you missed anything. But if you've got any questions, either now or at any other time, then feel free to find me. I'm generally on Facebook. So, and I think because of the free version of Zoom. But yeah, I just want to say to everyone, thanks ever so much for listening. And yeah, I will speak to everyone soon.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, cheers. Thank you. See you soon.